Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's Tech Talk. We're here this month to answer your burning questions following the smart home announcements we made at Alexa Live. My name is Jeff Blankenburg. I'm our Chief Technical Evangelist here at Alexa. I spend most of my time talking about building skills and thinking about voice experiences, but today I'm joined by Matt Davidson. He's our Senior Product Manager, and he's the product lead for Matter at Amazon. I'm really excited about Matter and where we're headed as an industry with this, but I'd love for Matt to kind of introduce himself and tell us a little bit about that. So Matt, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, so during Alexa Live in 2022, we announced some additional Matter support and exciting new APIs and features, giving you, the developers, the flexibility to build the device types you're passionate about, using the protocols you prefer, and integration options that fit your business model. So there's a lot to unpack from that very brief overview, but I'll start by recapping some of the flexible ways to build exceptional Matter-based smart home experiences with Alexa. And so, as most of you know, Matter is launching later this year with the aim of making it easier for smart home devices to interoperate with each other, simplifying development, but increasing compatibility for our collective customers. Some of you may already be planning to build new Matter devices or to update existing ones to support Matter. With Amazon, you'll have a rich feature set and flexible tools to develop differentiated products with Matter. So we're going to do this in a few ways. So one, we're going to make it easier for you to build Matter devices using Alexa ConnectKit SDK for Matter, streamlining both Matter implementation as well as adding additional features. We're going to be bringing frustration-free setup technology, which our collective customers really love, to Matter devices baked right into the Matter SDK. And we're also building additional tools that will help you bring that setup experience to more customers. So, right now, FFS requires that your customers purchase that device on Amazon. We're going to bring that to offline retail as well. Finally, we're building new features to ensure customers can easily set up and control Matter devices using either Alexa or your app and enjoy the convenience of hands-free control along with Alexa as well as your value-add features. And so these APIs for multiple admin simple setup for Matter, credentials, and commissionable endpoint will help really bring that to fruition.
Cool. So I want to make sure that I set the basis for everybody as we're getting into all this. So obviously, very, very cool stuff that we're doing with Matter. But I want to take that quick step back. There's two things I want to talk about. First, I feel like maybe we're underselling your role in what's going on with Matter. And so I know you're on the board of connectivity standards. Can you tell me a little bit about that? And then also, you're on the Matter working group as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, so my role within Amazon is to lead all of our Matter efforts internally, but then an equal part of my role is working externally within the CSA. So part of that is being a board alternate member at the CSA as a whole, helping to shape the direction, and then also working within the Matter working group and the NPSG specifically, helping to define requirements, use cases, and help guide the Matter standard into launch this fall.
Cool. And as we talk about Matter, and we're going to get much deeper into this as we go, for those that may not have heard of this or maybe unfamiliar with the term or what the initiative is behind this, can you kind of give just a quick story about like what the purpose of Matter is, what the problem is that it solves?
Yeah, today, all of our customers, collectively have to figure out which device works with which smart home system. So while Alexa has gone to great lengths to ensure that developers can use skill integration or directly integrate using local protocols such as Zigbee or BLE mesh, what Matter does is it allows an IP-based interoperability standard where developers can develop once using Matter, and customers can know that with Matter, this device will work with Alexa as well as other smart home systems that are supporting Matter.
Very cool. So this is basically an accessibility play, right? For people that are making hardware devices, it's a way for them to know that their stuff is going to work across the board. It's not just an Alexa device or just something else. It's something that anyone can use to enable and interact with.
Yeah, absolutely. The key thing is it's going to simplify the life of both customers and device makers. So as device makers are looking to figure out how they can provide the best experience to their customer, regardless of the smart home system, they no longer have to worry about doing separate integrations and maintaining those by design in order to ensure that their customers have the right experience.
Got it. Okay. Well, this session is also meant to be kind of a Q&A about some of the things that people have asked us since we've made these announcements at Alexa Live. But before we get into those questions, though, I know that we also talked about the Alexa Ambient Home Dev Kit. Can you tell me some more about that?
Yeah. So, as we talk about Matter, the whole intention of Matter is to open things up, to make things more interoperable, and to give customers more choice, and also to provide the best experience. And Alexa isn't forgetting about the existing connected devices that we have. And what we're doing to kind of bring some of the interoperability focus is contained within what we're calling the Alexa Ambient Home Dev Kit. And so this is really an important evolution to our approach to the connected home. And it's a pretty big shift from merely allowing device makers to push their device information to Alexa to allow customers a great voice experience, but allowing them to also, leverage a variety of Alexa's features on their own apps and services. And so assuming, after customers provide their permission, device makers can now use the APIs included with the dev kit to provide these new experiences within your own services and own apps, as well as working with Alexa. And so really it's kind of a bidirectional set of APIs.
This seems like it's the next evolution of that to make this not only interoperable across Alexa and these smart home devices, but also across the entire industry.
Yeah, and so the next few APIs that we're looking at as we try to externalize some of the capabilities of Alexa to our partners for better customer experience. One is around safety and security. It's going to extend Alexa Guard's features to give our developers more ways to build and enhance safety features in their apps and services. Then another one is going to be the device and group sync, which is going to be, significantly reduce friction from having to set up your devices and group them together in different apps, and then when you bring those to Alexa, having to configure for all of these different devices. And so we're going to allow that to work both ways. So wherever you initially configure those devices, it can automatically pass through to the other party. And then the final API is around home state. So customers can opt in to let you, the developer, learn more about the desired states within their home so that you can keep your own platform in sync with Alexa.
That's excellent.
Vice versa.
All right, so I think there's probably some resources for everybody. If you look in the resources widget on the right side of your screen, I think we have some links to recent blogs and technical documentation, and even the Alexa Live videos that contain details about some of the announcements that Matt just shared with us. So now let's move on to the main topic of this Tech Talk. I know we've received a lot of questions from the audience during the breakout and lab sessions at Alexa Live and even in the time since. And I know we were able to answer a few of them, but let's take a time to share some answers to a few questions that we didn't have time for. So one of the first kind of categories of questions I have for you, Matt, is around flexibility. So what exactly are we as Alexa offering as part of Matter?
Yeah, so as we've previously announced, all Echo devices, with the exception of the Gen 1 Echo and Echo Dot, as well as the Echo Tap, will receive an update to support Matter. And so this is going to allow millions of customers to easily set up and control Matter devices after that OTA has been delivered using their Echo devices. Okay. And this is important to note that this doesn't change our existing support for any of the other smart home protocols, skill integrations. We believe that Matter is just another pillar into providing the best smart home experience through Alexa. Then we'll also be supporting Thread across millions of new and existing Echo and Eero devices. And so Thread is a key piece of Matter where it's usually lower power devices leverage Thread instead of Wi-Fi in order to communicate. And so in order for these Thread devices to communicate to your IP, you need what they call border router, which kind of bridges the thread in the Wi-Fi network. And then, finally, what we're doing is we're bringing frustration-free setup to developers in a much easier way with Matter because it's already embedded in the Matter SDK. So there's less effort to, take advantage of the frictionless setup and great customer experience. And then we've built a few new APIs, including commissionable endpoint, multi-admin simple setup for Matter, and credentials API to further simplify that setup process for Matter devices.
Very cool. And just in case there aren't people that are familiar with frustration-free setup, I'm going to do my very best to explain it here, Matt, but please correct me if I miss the mark here. If anybody's ever noticed, if you have an Echo device or even an Amazon smart plug or something like that in your house, and you bring a second device into your house, and you plug it into the wall, all of a sudden it just knows everything. It knows how to connect to your Wi-Fi. It knows who you are and what your account is. And all you have to do is basically make a couple of simple selections and your device is up and running without having to go through the somewhat tedious process of setting everything up, logging into your account, connecting to the Wi-Fi, doing all of those things. Is that an accurate representation, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, frustration-free setup is truly an innovative experience where, assuming it's all opt-in by the customer and you choose to store your Wi-Fi credentials with Alexa and you check a box at checkout, you literally just plug that device in and it's going to immediately start to connect and you'll be able to experience that voice control without having to do anything.
That's perfect. All right, let's move on to our second question. Will the Alexa app work as a controller for all Matter-enabled endpoints? Or if a customer has a Matter-enabled device, will they need another app and the Alexa app to control it? What will that process be like?
Yeah, our intention is for Alexa to support Matter devices through the Alexa app, but also through our voice control, which is truly an amazing way to interact with smart home devices. And so that's really where we think that the primary interface for most smart home users will continue to exist. However, of course, we will support that interoperability within the Alexa app. And then device makers will also have the opportunity to choose how they want their customers to set up their devices. Some will choose, initial setup through their own app. Some will allow it to be set up through third-party Matter controllers such as Alexa.
Sure. And I would imagine, especially for the broad range of hardware providers that are out there, they may also have capabilities that are built into their device that may not be really part of the Matter ecosystem as much as they are specific to that device or function, right? And those things would need special setup.
Yeah, like a great example of that is many Matter devices will also support a dedicated cloud connection. And so obviously Matter being a local protocol won't be able to inherently set that up without the third party, the device maker's app. And then, as you mentioned, there are other differentiated features that device makers can expose through their own app that maybe Matter doesn't support. And so there's a lot of different reasons why customers may want to mix both worlds.
Got it. Okay, so we're going to jump into some SDK discussions now. What is the difference between what we call the ACK SDK or the Alexa Connect Kit SDK for Matter and the Alexa Connect Kit? Yeah,
so the Alexa Connect Kit SDK for Matter is bringing some of the key features of the ACK feature, to Matter devices. So what ACK does is it allows developers to easily, bring cloud connectivity to any type of device. And so this cloud connectivity enables, logging, lifecycle management, business intelligence, OTA support, as well as command and control. And so what we're doing with the ACK SDK for Matter is we're wrapping some of those same ancillary features around lifecycle management, logging, OTAs with, along with the Matter SDK. And so it's providing the great interoperability experience that Matter provides, yet also keeps the core, cloud connectivity enabled features that allow them to best support their customers. So if somebody calls into support and says, I have a problem with this device, well, again, Matter is a local connectivity protocol. And so if you're just using the SDK, you're truly at the kind of at the mercy of what information is provided to you by that Matter controller. Whereas if you use the ACK SDK for Matter, you'll have that direct access to be able to understand, what's the performance of that Matter device, how are things working, and help you provide a better customer experience as you try and troubleshoot those, but then also have a better understanding of how your devices are being used, as well as, when there's a software update, it puts the device maker in control of pushing it down. And so what we're trying to do with this is balance the benefits of interoperability with the ability of, with the control and information desired by most hardware manufacturers.
That makes total sense to me. I know one of the things that always surprises my mom is when she's got some problem with her internet or something like that, and she calls her cable company. And they're like, hold on, we're just going to look at your router real quick. And she's like, how are they doing that? They're not here. And while it's not exactly the same protocols or anything, I think it's the same idea, right? The hardware manufacturers can start to create devices and provide a higher level of customer service by being able to directly tap into and access some of these devices, either through simple things like analytics or even being able to do diagnostics, right?
Yeah, it's exactly that. And while many device makers may have their own cloud platform, which offers some of these same core capabilities, the difference between that and ACK for Matter is that you don't actually have to maintain any of this cloud infrastructure yourself. You don't have to build it and manage it. It's all prepackaged through the ACK SDK. And additionally, it reduces the development time. And so it takes away complexity, it's, increases speed to market. And so we think it's a great solution that can really enhance what Matter offers.
Yeah, and I think you've now answered what my next question, which is why would device makers want to use the ACK SDK for Matter once the Matter SDK is available? And I think that it has mostly to do with the online components, but I'll let you take a stab at that.
Yeah, it's speed, it's added connectivity to the cloud. And I think a key note of this is that it doesn't actually require so let me take a step back. In the traditional, cloud connected world, even if you support Matter on that device, you're still going to have to go through the registration process to bring that cloud connection through your own cloud, which removes one of the benefits of an easier setup through any Matter controller that we see happening. Okay. And so the ACK SDK is going to streamline that without requiring an account setup or any of that. You'll automatically start getting that core data that I talked about around lifecycle management into the cloud without any customer intervention, and still allow you to provide that great support. And again, it's built-in connectivity, back-end services without any effort or management on your part. So really, it kind of helps bring Matter and the promise of Matter to a full end user developer experience. What's needed in order to fully support the customer.
I like that. All right, so let's fast forward to the future. All devices now that are out there are using Matter. It's adopted by all the manufacturers. Everybody's using it in the way that it's intended. How are companies that are building connected devices with Matter going to be able to differentiate between their competitors, for example?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, and one that we're getting a lot. Today, if you can look at devices from a protocol versus feature lens, where you've got these protocol connected, based devices like Zigbee, Z-Wave, BLE Mesh, where in many cases you're kind of limited to whatever the standard data model is, which emphasizes compatibility, and it's very difficult over those protocols to do custom features given the reliance on a single hub and other local connectivity problems. But then on the flip side, you've got these general devices which probably make up the majority of smart home devices today, which are usually built on Wi-Fi with a direct cloud connection to the 3P cloud, where the entire experience is custom designed by the device maker for that device, which you see a lot more innovative features. And so what Matter does is it brings those both together. It establishes a standard way to communicate locally with the device, which is the core Matter protocol. there are options to create custom clusters, which if supported on the controller side, then you can over Matter, you can build in more differentiated features. But because it's IP based, there's a built-in capability for you to still have that direct cloud connection and that even further expansive set of features that you can provide to your customers. And so in a lot of these cases, what you're going to see is maybe you'll build some really interesting experience for your device that goes well beyond the command and control that you expect people to use oftentimes with voice, such as like, hey, turn this off or turn this on or change the temperature to this, to provide that interesting, a lot of AI driven features and stuff like that. And so these two can work in parallel to bring one, a great differentiated experience that really sets a device apart while still having that great interoperability that Matter can provide.
Love it. Okay, so speaking of building differentiated experiences, we also have a couple of questions about the Alexa Ambient Home Dev Kit, which is something else that we announced. So I guess the first obvious question is, what is the Alexa Ambient Home Dev Kit?
Yeah, so I touched on this a little bit earlier, but it's a new collection of APIs and services that are going to extend Alexa smart home features to developers. And so the goal is to provide a more unified ambient smart home experience for customers. As smart home really becomes more broadly adopted, which we think Matter is going to help, as well as just the general enthusiasm that we're seeing within the market, you're going to have a lot more devices and you want them to interact together more seamlessly. Otherwise, customers are going to continue to look at smart home as a single problem to solve instead of a way to streamline their lives. And so to begin with, the Alexa Ambient Home Dev Kit is going to include APIs for device and group sync, safety and security, credentials, and multi-admin simple setup for Matter, as well as home state. And so I kind of touched on those a little bit earlier, but that's kind of like the first tranche. But this is really just the beginning. We're really dedicated to finding ways to make Alexa and other apps and services work more seamlessly together to collectively provide that great ambient experience for customers. And so, just to put some examples around what this will do, the first step, if a customer leaves home and arms their security system, they may want their robot vacuum to know that they're gone, and so it can start cleaning. If they open their Smart Lights app and starts to group all the different light bulbs that they have, and they move some from the guest room to the office, well, they don't want to have to go through and do that in every single app that's connected to those devices. And so Alexa and that service can, in the background, seamlessly sync those changes. And like those are the types of experiences which will, start to build that foundation and continue to grow over time.
Yeah, this is the kind of feature that I need. So I work out of my house. Obviously, I have all this ridiculous toys and things behind me. But we just have our robot vacuum set to go off every day at noon. And inevitably, it's when I'm trying to record something, or I don't notice it's on, and I walk out my door, and it's trying to knock its way into my office or something like that. So being able to set it up to respond to other events in my house, I'm all for that. I love that. Let's talk about protocols. So what protocols are the Alexa Ambient Home Dev Kit APIs compatible with?
Multi-admin simple setup for Matter is the only protocol-specific API. And so what that does is it allows a seamless, user-controlled, but once the user enables it, a seamless way for Alexa and other services to effectively share Matter devices across them, so that a customer can seamlessly decide, oh, well, I want to use one service in this instance, but another service in this instance, and not having to go through the trouble of setting it up. But in general, all of the other APIs announced can be integrated with any device connected to Alexa Skill, regardless of protocol.
What kind of experiences will the safety and security APIs enable?
Yeah, so these safety and security APIs extend Alexa Guard's features to give developers and service providers and app makers even more ways to build and enhance these safety features. So, for example, by leveraging the Echo devices already in the customer home, device makers will be able to send customers, their customers, alerts of smoke and CO alarms or glass break detected by these Echo devices. So we're kind of providing that input to allow them to understand what's happening. And, likewise, they'll be able to take action on those events as, their features or services may provide. And so it's, it goes back to allowing customers and different app makers, device makers to choose the right channel to surface this information and to respond to all of the ambient capabilities that really exist in the home today.
Very cool. That's a future I want to live in, man. That sounds exactly like what I'm hoping the future of smart home looks like. So one of the other things we introduced was the credentials APIs, and one of the questions we got was, how does the customer benefit by the existence and the use of the credentials APIs?
So really, this kind of extends from our original, FFS foundations, the frustration-free setup. How do we make life easier for customers with smart home setup being a known problem across the board? And so what the credentials API will do is it'll allow customers to opt in to share their network credentials with Alexa, which is part of the frustration-free setup process, but then also through to developers' apps. And this will eliminate them from having to manually enter the network credentials. It reduces the number of steps to onboard their device. And we're going to start with Thread, which is really important because I feel like in this day and age, everybody at least knows their Wi-Fi network and password. Thread as a new type of network for most customers, it's going to be very technical and not as intuitive as just understanding Wi-Fi. And so by helping to share those credentials with different apps, it's going to significantly ease the onboarding experience for customers who may have bought a Thread device that supports Matter, but may not even know what Thread is. And so it's a key step in reducing that customer confusion while also much more seamlessly enabling setup.
Awesome. All right, so we've talked about a whole bunch of different APIs. What experiences will the device and the group sync APIs provide for end customers?
Yeah, so the group sync API is honestly one of my favorites because it's such a core piece of how smart home really works. It's if I've got 3 different lights in my kitchen or 4 different lights in my living room, I usually want to control them all at the same time. And the key to doing that is you have to group them together and figure out which room they exist in. And so what this allows is customers to say, I want to share the data that I'm putting into either, say the 3P light manufacturer's app or into Alexa with one or the other side. And so this means that when a customer creates a new device group named Kitchen Lights within the device maker's app, well, Kitchen Lights automatically is going to appear in Alexa. And then customers can put those devices into the different groups, and it'll effectively do the things that everybody expects smart home to do, but because of complicated back-end integration issues, they haven't been able to do. And so we're really working hard to try and solve some of those issues.
Very cool. One of my favorite groupings that I created is the downstairs group. So I have a 2-story house. Upstairs is where everybody sleeps. Downstairs is where we spend most of our time. And the ability for me to start walking up the stairs and tell my device to say, turn off downstairs, and what we say is time for bed. The entire first floor turns off. The lights upstairs turn on. The fan in my room starts going. Obviously, that's routines, but being able to group these things together into one package and just say, do that thing is powerful. And I think making that way easier for customers is only going to, like you said, increase adoption, increase the ease in which they can identify that this is something they want in their home.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have one more question. And I think this is something that a lot of people, especially those that are working in the hardware creation business, probably are itching to know, which is, when am I going to be able to certify Matter devices?
Yeah, so the Connectivity Standards Alliance, or the CSA, is the body responsible for Matter certification. And so it's very much important to go through them to understand kind of their own timelines, the website, and various press releases that they've put out. And so That said, they've been public saying that Matter certification launch is expected this fall, which we're all really excited about, and everyone's working incredibly hard towards. And then we talk about Matter certification is like a key bar to this new world of interoperability. But I do want to explain how Works with Alexa certification still has relevance within the Matter world. We look at Works with Alexa as kind of our stamp of approval that this device not only functions, that it does what you think it's going to do, but we're also looking to make sure that the customer experience, meets our bar, to make sure that it does the things that customers are going to expect a device of any smart home device to do. And so really it's about putting that stamp of approval that, Matter's been tested against a specification, but Works with Alexa means that it's been tested with Alexa. And so that you can be just absolutely certain that you're going to get that best experience.
Very good. And so I imagine we're going to share more about that program as Matter gets announced and as more things get a little firmed up.
Yeah, absolutely. As everybody's all working towards this goal of getting, Matter complete and making sure that the, launch of the Matter certification program is successful, and alongside, once we hit some of those key milestones, we'll be able to share more information about how to be sure that your device works best with Alexa.
Got it. Well, I wish we could have answered everybody's questions, but we do have a limited amount of time. So I have to stop here, and hopefully we'll find ways to chat with you maybe in our developer Slack, which you can find at alexa.design/Slack. We have an entire channel dedicated to smart home and device making, so please check that out. But I also want to make sure I thank Matt for being here. So Matt, thanks so much for taking the time. This has been fantastic, and I'm really glad that you could share your knowledge with all of us.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for having me. It's been great talking with everyone.
So I just want to remind everyone, if you found this session inspirational or insightful or anything, we'd love to hear from you. You can find helpful resources in the widget to our right, and we're committed to making it as easy as possible for you to build connected products that work with Alexa across protocols and provide the best possible experience for customers. We can't wait to build with all of you. Thank you so much for watching.